shows the demand on the balance sheet is that we turned our book over at a rate on the trailing 12 of 2.23 times. That means that there's a lot of demand for these contracts, that we expect that demand to continue and continuing to generate cash flow ultimately on the balance sheet.
All right, welcome back inside our proactive newsroom. And joining me now is Jay Jackson. He is the CEO of Abacus Global Management. And Jay, it's great to see you. How are you?
Great, man. Super glad to be back.
Yeah, good to have you back. And we've got a couple of pieces of news to talk about. First off, we should mention your record earnings recently. You just announced your numbers and
Right.
showing really the company's on a great trajectory.
It is. And, when we think about year over year, we nearly doubled top end, same thing on the bottom end. Our adjusted net income numbers, we effectively on an earnings per share basis, we beat the consensus by, gosh, over 20%. So we're even outperforming what market Wall Street analysts believe that they believe we should be at. And so with that in mind also is that when we looked at for the remainder of 25, we also increased our year over year guidance to now, if you can believe it, going from where we were at effectively 52 to 67% as a range year over year growth. We're now at just above 50 or just above 59 at 60%, all the way up to over 70% projection year over year. And that's on the bottom line. That's on the adjusted net income basis. So how many companies out there are growing at 50+% per year every year on top of 24, where we nearly doubled it in 24 as well. And now here we are in 25 doing the same thing. So, we've got a lot of momentum. We're in a great spot as a business and a company. It's not just always about what returns are, although that's what investors want to see from us. But in addition to that, the business itself is in a unique opportunity where these types of volatile markets, we tend to perform very, very well in.
Jay, what has sort of led to all of this success? Talk to me a little bit about some things that are driving that growth.
There's a couple of things that I would think about that are driving our growth. And unique to us in a sense is that one of our core businesses is our Life Solutions division, where we acquire policies from policyholders. That's really a non-correlated business once you own the contracts. But when you have times of volatility, seniors are looking for more liquidity in their portfolio than they ever have before. So they're taking into consideration, hey, maybe my life insurance policy might have an additional net present value that I could use today. So we're benefiting from additional what we would call origination. And what I mean by that, this is a licensed transaction where Abacus holds license in nearly every state that requires it. And then we are legally allowed to access this data and information and have these conversations with policyholders. So when you have a volatile market, people seeking liquidity, we tend to perform better because we're originating more policies ultimately for us to buy. But secondly, the investor-driven demand. We raised almost 124 million in new assets in Q2 in this asset, where there are investors who want us to invest and purchase these contracts. Why? Because you're dealing with effectively an uncorrelated yield. It's like a mortality-driven zero coupon. So as it gets closer to maturation, you end up having less and less correlation, but more and more yield. So it accretes in positive value as it ages. So we're just in this really good, strong position where we have policyholders who are looking to sell into this volatility. And then we have investors who are looking to invest. And that puts us in a very unique and very strategic position going forward.
And the company really has a good cash position as well. So the balance sheet seems to be in a good position as well, Jay.
Yeah, we continue to have a strong balance sheet. In Q1, we had over $123 million of cash and cash equivalents on the balance sheet. Q2, that was north of 73 million, almost, I think, $75 million of cash and cash and equivalents. And we also shows the demand on the balance sheet is that we turned our book over at a rate on the trailing 12 of 2.23 times. That means that there's a lot of demand for these contracts, that we expect that demand to continue and continuing to generate cash flow ultimately on the balance sheet.
Okay. On that note, you had news out today that you've announced a minority investment in a company called Dynasty Financial Partners. Tell me a little bit about that one and why the move.
Dynasty Financial Partners is one of the premier businesses that they offer TAMP services, effectively technology platforms for some of the largest registered investment advisors in the country. Dynasty has over $120 billion of assets under management. and we were able to do a minority investment into their firm. But I think what's super important here, they also made a similar minority investment into our firm. So they're also big believers in Abacus and Abacus's platform, how we manage our balance sheet. But when we start to think about what this provides to Abacus almost day one, and that's access to $120+ billion of assets under management through some of the top RIAs in the country, to not just our alternatives, our ETFs, but also educating them on the value of them sharing their policyholders' information with us so that we can potentially create liquidity for them. So it's really a dual relationship, and we think that ultimately we'll both really benefit from it.
Well, Jay, as we wrap up here, last question just about the outlook. You said it continues to be strong for the company, and you really like the position you're in as you head towards the end of 2025 and really into 2026.
We feel great about how things are shaping up for 25 and even further into 26. It's evidenced by us continuing and, in fact, increasing our GAAP net income guidance. And in addition to that, making smart investment decisions into firms like Dynasty Financial Partners, one of the fastest growing RIAs, north of 120 billion, shows that where Abacus is continuing to evolve, that we can do and capture some of these mutually beneficial relationships.
Good stuff, Jay. Good to see you again. Thanks very much. Congratulations on the success, and we look forward to our next conversation, okay?
Thank you. Speak soon.
All right, there is Jay Jackson. He is the CEO of Abacus Global Management.